Today we will see how to create nested file-based routing. So let me show you the output that we have done till our previous tutorial. So this was the code that we have done. This was the output, and I have told you that this decoration of this page is just because of CSS that is by default done in our React.js. In our Next.js. So first let me remove these lines. I want the page should be simple as we had the totally blank page. I have to move in globals.css, and this is just because of these variants, and I am going to select all and make it comment. Now if I save it and move to output, you can see the play we have the blank page. So what we have to do now, I want here a nested routing which is file based routing. For this thing I am going to take here a file. I am going to take a folder and going to name it as blog, and inside that file I am going to take a page, and I gonna change these names as blog page. Now if I save and move in our main page, and here I gonna import my blogs page, my blogs folder, import blog. It is not showing here. We have written all the code inside my app component, which should be mandatory, and here we have about folder. Here I gonna import blog, which should be in curly braces. From one mistake that I have done here, as we had header file which is inside that components, we have used it. I am just typing here dot blog, and I gonna make that blog as link. I can also directly write here the structure that I have done already. And the second thing, I can also make such importing of that component. Now if I save it, and here it is showing the error that failed to compile. I gonna remove it and save it, and here we have single link because we have not written anything inside. Click for blog. Now if I save it, I gonna make all the text as center, style, text align as center. Now if I click here, I don't gonna move to other pages. So what is the reason behind? Let me first refresh that page. The default export, it is failed due to some reason, and let me show you the reason. Because we have exported it directly. So if we have to use in such a way that we have here direct link, then we should have the at the bottom. If we are using here fat arrow function, export default blog page. Now if I save it, and you can see I am moved to our blog page. And let me tell you that if we don't gonna use that fat arrow function, I can simply write here export blog page, and here I don't need export function. I have missed here one thing, default. Now for this routing, the default world should be compulsory. Now if I save it, and you can see we are directed to our blog page. So I'm just going to write here a fat arrow function. So I was talking about nested routing, which is file based. So how can we do our nested routing? We have a block component, and inside that block component, let's say we have other block 1 and block 2 components. I am going to take here another folder which is named as block 2, and inside that folder I gonna take a page.js. I can also type JSX. Block 1. So I gonna write here at the bottom block 1. If I save it and move to our second folder, here I gonna also type page.js. I gonna change that name as block 2, and here I'm going to export it at the bottom. Export default block 2. If I save it, and you will see nothing would happen because we have not made here the link for that block. So I gonna show you here. If I type here block, now that block folder or that block component is showing here. So if I type here block slash blog 1, I moved to blog 1 page, and if I type here blog slash blog 2, now I moved to blog 2 component. So I gonna also give the links as same in my that main page. I am going to copy it, Ctrl C, and gonna paste it here. Blog 1, and I gonna change that path as blog slash block 1, and here I gonna type block 2, and I am also going to type here as block 2. Now if I save it and move to output, you will see if we click here, we are directed to block 1, and if we click here, we are directed to block 2. In other words, you can say these are nested navbars, that inside navbars we have further navbars. So this is how can we write nested file based routing